The assembly will come to order. All rise for the invocation by Father Jeff Paul of Carson City.
Secretary, Speaker Designate, Assembly members, staff, guests, my ENT doc taught me this past year that taking deep breaths through my mouth exacerbates anxiety and increases stress. Apparently talking a lot does that too. So he's training me to breathe through my nose, shallow, even breaths. So what do you say we do a little nose breathing, shallow, even breaths, and we'll change the world a day at a time for the better that way. Let us pray. Gracious and compassionate God, known by many names, bless the leaders of our land in these days of winter, that we may be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to the nations of the earth. To the entire staff and administrative authority, grant wisdom and grace in the exercise of their duties. To our assembly members and those who make laws in our state, cities, towns, give courage, wisdom, and foresight to provide for the needs of all our people and to fulfill our obligations in the community of nations. We invoke blessing and protection upon this Nevada State Assembly and upon all who work herein. In all your names we pray. And the people said, Amen.
Thank you for leading the assembly in a prayer as they began to address the many challenges facing the people of Nevada. We'll now have a presentation of the colors by the Nevada National Guard, Joint Color Guard. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing while Christina Bourne sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in thanking Christina Bourne and the Nevada National Guard, Joint Color Guard, for helping us pay tribute to our traditions and celebrate this special day. Please be seated. I request that Bonnie Borda Hofecker serve as temporary chief clerk. The temporary chief clerk will call the roll of the 42 assembly members elect.
Miss Anderson? Present. Miss Backus? Present. Miss Brown May? Here. Mr. Carter? Present. Mrs. Cole? Here. Miss Considine? Present. Mr. Dahlia? Present. Mr. DeLong? Present. Miss Dickman? Here. Mr. De Silva? Here. Dr. Edgeworth? Here. Miss Flanagan? Present. Miss Gallant? Here. Mrs. Gonzalez? Miss Goulding? Present. Mr. Gray? Here. Mr. Gurr? Here. Mr. Hafen? Here. Mrs. Hanson? Here. Mrs. Hardy? Here. Mr. Hibbets? Here. Miss Hunt? Here. Mr. Jackson? Miss Howdigy? Here. Miss Karras? Here. Miss Kasama? Here. Mr. Koenig? Here. Miss LaRue Hatch? Miss Marzola? Present. Miss Miller? Here. Miss Monroe Moreno? Here. Miss Moore? Here. Miss Mosca? Here. Miss Nadeem? Present. Mr. Wynn? Here. Mr. O'Neill? Here. Mr. Orntlicker? Here. Miss Roth? Here. Miss Torres Fawcett? Here. Mr. Watts? Here. Mr. Yeager? Here. Mr. Urick?
There are 42 present. This is a quorum. I will now appoint a temporary committee on credentials to examine the credentials of the assembly members elect. Assembly Member Mosca, Assembly Member Gonzalez, Assembly Member Yadigi, Assembly Member Miller, Assembly Member Monroe Moreno, Assembly Member Moore, Assembly Member Nadine, Assembly Member Cole, Assembly Member Dickman, Assembly Member Edgeworth, Assembly Member Hibbets. If there are no objections, the Assembly will recess while credentials are examined by the Temporary Committee on Credentials. The assembly will come to order. There is a quorum present.
Mr. Secretary, your temporary committee on credentials has had the credentials of the respective assembly members elect under consideration and begs leave to report that the following persons have been and are duly elected members of the Assembly of the 83rd session of the Legislature of the State of Nevada. Assembly members Anderson, Backus, Brown May, Carter, Cole, Considine, Dahlia, DeLong, Dickman, De Silva, Edgeworth, Flanagan, Gallant, Gonzalez, Goulding, Gray, Gurr, Hafen, Hansen, Hardy, Hibbets, Hunt, Jackson, Howdigi, Karras, Kasama, Koenig, LaRue Hatch, Marzola, Miller, Monroe Moreno, Moore, Mosca, Nadeem, Wynn, O'Neill, Orentlicker, Roth, Torres Fawcett, Watts, Yeager, and Urich have been and are duly elected members of the Assembly of the 83rd session of the Legislature of the State of Nevada. Signed, Erica Mosca, Chair.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I will now appoint a committee of two consisting of Assembly members Miller and Hansen to wait upon Chief Justice Douglas Herndon of the Nevada Supreme Court and escort him to the bar of the Assembly. The Assembly will stand at ease while the committee goes about its business. The appointed committee will escort Chief Justice Herndon to the reading rostrum to administer the oath of office to the members. Members of the Assembly will rise and remain standing to receive the oath of office.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a privilege to be able to participate in this ceremony with each of you, and congratulations on your elections and returning to the State Assembly. At this time, if you would please raise your right hands. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the Constitution and government of the State of Nevada against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign. This is the long part. And I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty to the same. Any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state notwithstanding, and that I will well and faithfully perform all the duties of the office of member of the Nevada State Assembly. In and for my district, on which I am about to enter. So help me God, under the pains and penalties of perjury. Congratulations and thank you.
The members of the assembly will be seated. The temporary chief clerk will call the roll of those members having a certificate of election, and as the names are called, the members will proceed to the front of the desk and subscribe the official oath.
Ms. Anderson? Yeah, and then we'll have you turn and get your pictures done as soon as you're finished. Ms. Backus? Assemblymember Brown May? Mr. Carter? Mrs. Cole? Ms. Considine? Mr. Delia? Mr. DeLong? Ms. Stickman? Mr. De Silva? Dr. Edgeworth? Okay. Ms. Flanagan? Ms. Gallant? Mrs. Gonzalez? I hear you. Member Goulding? Mr. Gray? Mr. Gurr? Mr. Hafen? Mrs. Hanson? Mrs. Hardy, Mr. Hibbets, Miss Hunt, Mr. Jackson, Miss Howdigy, Miss Karras, Miss Kasama, Mr. Koenig, Miss LaRue Hatch, Miss Marzola, Miss Miller, Miss Monroe Moreno, Miss Moore, Miss Mosca, Miss Nadim, Mr. Nguyen, Mr. O'Neill, Dr. Orntlicker, Miss Roth, Ms. Torres Fawcett, Mr. Watts, Mr. Yeager. Mr. Urick.
Ready? Assembly Member Cole.
Mr. Secretary of State, I move that Chief Justice Herndon be given a unanimous vote of thanks for administering the oath.
You have heard the motion. You have heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief Justice. The appointed committee will escort Chief Justice Herndon to the bar of the Assembly. The members of the Assembly will rise. The members of the Assembly will be seated. The temporary chief clerk will call the roll of the Assembly members who have received the oath of office.
Assembly Members Anderson. Present. Assembly Members Backus. Brown May. Here. Carter. Present. Cole. Here. Considine. Present. Dahlia. Here. DeLong. Present. Dickman. Here. De Silva. Here. Edgeworth. Present. Flanagan. Present. Gallant. Here. Gonzalez. Here. Goulding. Present. Gray. Here. Gurr. Hafen. Hanson. Hardy. Hibbets. Hunt. Jackson. Howdigi. Karras. Kasama. Koenig. LaRue Hatch. Marzola. Miller. Monroe Moreno. Moore. Mosca. Nadeem. Wynn. O'Neill. Orentlicker. Roth. Torres Fawcett. Watts. Yeager. Urick.
There will be no temporary organization of the Assembly. All nominations will be for permanent appointment. Nominations are in order for Speaker of the Assembly. Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary of State. I rise today with the distinct honor of nominating Assemblymember Steve Yeager for Speaker of the Nevada State Assembly. Assemblymember Yeager has served as the Nevada Assembly Representative for District 9 since 2016 and has demonstrated a strong commitment to his constituents and our state throughout his tenure. We know him as Speaker, Assemblymember, and friend. But Assemblymember Yeager is also a born Midwesterner turned passionate Nevadan who embodies the spirit of the Silver State. He's a lover of music and a self-described foodie who shares his culinary adventures with us through his Instagram, which I greatly appreciate. As an adventurer, he loves exploring the beauty of our state's public lands, and I've been lucky enough to join him on a few that have taken us to the depths of the Grand Canyon and to the heights of over 13,000 feet above sea level, including Nevada's own Boundary Peak. This blend of experience and passion helps shape the leader that we admire and respect. But at the heart of his leadership is his wife, the Honorable Beta Yeager, a remarkable woman in her own right. Together, they exemplify the best of public service and community dedication. I am so proud to have the honor to nominate him on this day to continue to serve as the 65th Speaker of the Nevada State Assembly.
Assemblymember Hafen.
I will second that motion.
Assemblymember Marzola.
I move nominations be closed.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. I declare Assemblymember Steve Yeager to be Speaker of the Nevada State Assembly. I will now appoint Assembly members Monroe Moreno and Howdigi to escort the Speaker to the podium.
Assemblymember Marzola.
Mr. Speaker, I move the Secretary of State be given a unanimous vote of thanks for his services to the Assembly.
Assemblymember Gray. You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. I will now appoint the committee of two consisting of Assembly members Gonzalez and Koenig to escort the Secretary of State to the bar of the Assembly, where he almost is already, but if you can get him that last step, the members of the Assembly will please rise. The members of the Assembly will please be seated. Assemblymember Howdegi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you once again for the honor and privilege of serving as your Majority Leader. This institution holds a special place in my heart, and I am deeply committed to the values of collaboration and service that define our work here. I would also like to congratulate my colleague from Assembly District 36 on his ascension to Minority Leader. To my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, congratulations on your election and your dedication to public service. I am honored to work alongside each of you. And let us not forget to acknowledge the families and loved ones who support us in this endeavor. Their sacrifices often go unrecognized, but we could not do this important work without their unwavering encouragement and, most of all, understanding. Please join me in recognizing their contributions. In 2023, I stood before you and spoke about the importance of leaving partisanship on the campaign trail. Although we had our heated moments, spirited debates, and some decisions we ultimately could not see eye to eye on, I am proud to say that we delivered on the promise by working together to address some of the toughest challenges facing our state. From passing a historic education budget, including a much-needed raise to teachers, raises to state employees, and building a healthy rainy day fund. All of that work was done by us, the legislators, in this very building in just 120 days. Well, 120-ish if we count special sessions, but who's counting, right? This year, we must rededicate ourselves to that spirit of bipartisanship. The people of Nevada are counting on us to rise above division and focus on the issues that truly matter. Issues like providing economic relief for hardworking families, improving access to affordable health care and housing, and ensuring that every child in our state has the opportunity to succeed. We know the road ahead will not be easy. The challenges we face are complex and at times deeply personal. But I am confident that together we can forge solutions that reflect the best of who we are as Nevadans. As we embark on this legislative session, let us remember why we chose to serve. Together, we can continue to uphold the values that make this body and our state so extraordinary. Nevada is counting on us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Assemblymember Hafen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Majority Leader. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a tremendous honor to be here. And I want to thank you all for your commitment to serving the great people of Nevada. This state, our state, is truly a remarkable place. From the glittering lights of Las Vegas to the rugged beauty of rural Nevada, there's no place like it in the world. The people of Nevada are some of the most hardworking, patriotic individuals you'll ever meet. They deserve leaders who put them first. Leaders who stand up for families, small businesses, for workers, and for the values that make this state so great. That is what this session is all about, fighting for the people who make Nevada the incredible state it is. Now let's talk about the challenges we face. Families are feeling it. Inflation is hitting their wallets. Businesses are navigating unnecessary red tape, and too many kids are not getting the education that they deserve. But here's the good news. We have the opportunity right here, right now, to turn things around. We can unleash Nevada's full potential. We can do it by putting Nevada first. As representatives, we know what works. Less government, more freedom, and lower taxes. We need to push policies that grow our economy, protect our communities, and defend our rights. To my friends on the other side of the aisle, I'm ready to work with you. We may not always agree, but we share a common goal: to leave Nevada better than we found it. Let us commit to vigorous debate, respecting the different perspectives. and a shared focus on the results. We can get big things done if we put the people first. To the people of Nevada, this is your legislature. We are here because of you. We are here for you. Whether you are a small business owner from Henderson, a teacher from Reno, or a dairy farmer from Fallon, know this: we're going to work every single day to make Nevada a better place to live, work, and raise a family. This session, Mr. Speaker, let's make history. Let's deliver results. Let's fight for the Nevada that we love and make sure it remains a shining example of what is possible when we embrace freedom, opportunity, and hard work. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the great state of Nevada.
Thank you, Assemblymember Hafen. It is nice to be back here with all of you, and a sincere thank you to each of you for voting for me to lead the Assembly as Speaker this session. I am truly grateful, and I'm looking forward to the work ahead of us. I do want to thank my wife, Beta. Without your love, support, and encouragement, I could not and would not serve in the legislature, let alone be Speaker. So thank you, and also a thank you to my mother, Sally, who's watching online, so hi, Mom. She is a constant support of mine as well, and I want to thank her for that. Congratulations to my counterpart in the Senate, Senator Cannizzaro, on again being elected Senate Majority Leader, and congratulations to our own Assemblymember Hafen, as well as Senator Titus, on their new leadership roles. I look forward to working together to ensure that Nevada continues to prosper. Now, this session, we have 11 new legislators. I'm going to list them out, and as I list you, I want you to stand up, and if you could hold your applause until they're all standing up. So here are our new 11. They are Assembly Members Cole, Dahlia, Edgeworth, Flanagan, Goulding, Hunt, Jackson, Karras, Moore, Nadeem, and Roth. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody. But please give them a round of applause for stepping up to serve. Congratulations and welcome, and you may be seated. And to the incumbents who decided to run again, what in the world were you thinking? But in all seriousness, thank you for running for re-election and coming back to the legislature. Your experience will be invaluable in ensuring that we are successful this session. And some advice to our new legislators and our incumbents: drink more water, exercise whenever you can, take the stairs, try to get a good night's sleep, get to know people, ask a lot of questions, have fun every now and again, and be kind to one another. You just never know what another person is going through, and there is nothing as sweet as the sound of Amazing Grace. So liberally give grace to others in this building at all times. Now, if we're being honest, running a campaign and serving in the legislature is a sacrifice. It certainly takes a toll on all of us, but it also takes a toll on your family and your loved ones. They too make sacrifices so that you can campaign, win your seat, and serve. Now, you're all going to have a chance to introduce your guests later, but for now, legislators, I would like you to give a round of applause to all who supported you up to this moment and who will continue to support you over the course of this session. And a sincere thank you to everyone who braved challenging weather, as it always is before the beginning of session, to be here. Our respective campaigns are mercifully behind us, and that is where we should leave them, in the rearview mirror, because we must now govern, and Nevadans of all political stripes are counting on us to govern to the best of our ability. They don't want to be part of petty political squabbles. They want to be the beneficiaries of a government that works for them. That requires us to communicate with one another and to collaborate whenever possible. To the members, I want you each to take a look at the chair that you are sitting on. Although you are one person sitting on that chair, the chair itself represents approximately 74,000 Nevadans. And by way of reminder, you are here to represent all 74,000 of them to the best of your ability, even the ones who didn't vote for you, even the ones who will never vote for you, because all are your constituents and all are Nevadans. Now, of the three branches of state government, we, the legislative branch, are the closest to the people, in whom the real power is vested. So let us ensure that we are protectors of the legislature from outside influences and those who would like to weaken us so that we can't do good work for the people. We are far weaker than our other two branches of government because of our part-time status. There is no reason to give what little authority we have away. Now, we have the benefit of living in the best system of government the world has ever known, representative democracy. But there's no guarantee that it survives. We must fiercely protect it at all times or risk losing it forever. Speaking of that, I would like to ask every veteran or active military member in this chamber to stand up and be recognized for your commitment to protecting this great nation of ours, whatever the cost. We thank you for your service, we appreciate you, and we will support you in any way we can. Now, America continues to be the envy of the world, and everybody's eyes light up when you tell them, like I am, that I'm from Las Vegas, whether you are overseas or right here in the United States. There is something special about the American spirit, and there's something special about the Southwest, and there's certainly something special about Nevada. This is a place where things get done. This is a place where we don't take no for an answer. There's simply no place I would rather call home. Indeed, we live in an amazing state. You know, I was on the Las Vegas Strip, sitting at a bar during the recent Consumer Electronics Show, drinking an old-fashioned made with Frey Ranch bourbon, the best bourbon in the world. I was amazed at the number of languages I heard being spoken. At that moment, Las Vegas was as multicultural as any place in the world. People love to visit here, and tourism continues to play an outsized role in our economy and in our collective future. But Nevada can't just be a place that is welcoming for visitors. It must be a place where we, the residents, can prosper, where the American dream and home ownership is still within our grasp, and that vision must continue to be our North Star as it was in the last legislative session. As America approaches its 250th anniversary, we are distinctly aware that America itself was a startup nation. Everything was new and risky. Yet we came out of those challenges as the strongest and most powerful nation on earth. To help initiate a renewal of ingenuity and creativity that made America the envy of the world, right here in Nevada, last legislative session, we established the first in the nation Office of Entrepreneurship to make it easier for Nevadans to start their own businesses and realize their own American dream. Because every Nevadan should have the right to start their own business and improve the community they live in. The work we did in the last legislative session made a real difference in the lives of Nevadans, and that started with our investment in public education and educators. It was a long time coming to get our public schools back on track, and there's still work to do, you all know that, but every journey starts with a single step, or in our case, a giant leap. We didn't stop there, however. We passed legislation to alleviate the burdens on everyday Nevada families, such as lowering the price of prescription drugs, making housing more affordable, while ensuring renters have the most basic of protections. Some of that legislation was vetoed, but we'll be back at it, always mindful of our North Star, making life more affordable for those whom we serve. And to that end, we will be fast-tracking legislation to lower food prices for Nevadans, specifically eggs. And you can expect to see action on this in the first 2 weeks of the legislative session. We are not here to repeat political talking points. We are here to get things done. At this moment, there are a number of challenges that we are facing. Sometimes they can seem insurmountable. We are in a housing crisis. Homes are out of reach. We don't have enough medical providers, and healthcare is too expensive. Our economy continues to suffer from a lack of diversification, subjecting us to the ebbs and flows of the global economy. Inflation is too damn high. Things cost too damn much. Yes, these challenges can seem insurmountable, but that must not deter us from trying our level best to find solutions to these challenges, because we aren't here simply to manage the trains. We are here to identify problems that outrage us, then to solve them together. It reminds me of that scene and quote from The Lord of the Rings between Frodo the Hobbit and Gandalf the Wizard. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. Frodo is lamenting about the harrowing trials that he and the entire world are facing, and he says, "I wish it need not have happened in my time." "So do I," said Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what we do with the time that is given us." My sincere hope is that all of you have come to this building with a servant's heart, because this job at its core is about the people, not about anybody's political future ambitions or how many likes some post gets on social media. The good news is that if you didn't come here with that attitude, you can always change. Every day is an opportunity to start anew, to do things differently, to be better, to be your best. What sets us as human beings apart from other living beings is that we're conscious of our place in this world. We comprehend the historical context of the time in which we are living, and we understand what has come before. We realize that our actions affect people, either for good or for bad, and we have an innate sense of what is right and what is wrong. Now, that doesn't mean life is easy. Sometimes it is very, very hard indeed. But once you realize that we are all connected and all have a vested interest in making our world a better place, there is nothing we cannot accomplish as long as we set out to accomplish it together. And really, isn't that what drives us all? To make the world a better place. So my challenge to you, the elected members of the 83rd session of the Nevada Legislature, is indeed the same challenge I issued last legislative session. Open your eyes and see Nevada as it is today, as it is right now in this very moment on February 3rd, 2025, with all of its successes and all of its challenges. But also have the vision to see Nevada as you wish it to be long after you leave legislative service. Do not fear the future, because we are not here merely to endure it. We are here to shape it, and for the better. We must work together to ensure that all Nevadans have a right to self-determination, to chart their own path forward. That, indeed, was the promise of America. No more kings, no more dictators, but a right of the people who are governed to have a say in their government and their future. And we must never forget that the federal government is nothing more than a collection of these 50 united states, Nevada and her 49 sister states. So when we can work with the federal government for the benefit of Nevadans, we will. And when we cannot, we will push back and stand up for all Nevadans. That should be a bipartisan effort, because when it comes to the well-being of Nevadans, there are no political parties. There are only shared priorities. Colleagues, our work starts now, so let's get to work. God bless all of you, and God bless the great state of Nevada. Thank you very much. And I am pleased to announce that nominations are now in order for Speaker Pro Tempore, Assemblymember Backus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am beyond honored to nominate Assemblymember Monroe Moreno, one incredible star and leader in our state, to be Speaker Pro Tempore.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Assemblymember Gallant. Thank you. Assemblymember Gallant has moved that nominations be closed. You have heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. I declare Assemblymember Monroe Moreno to be Speaker Pro Tempore. Congratulations. Nominations are now in order for Chief Clerk of the Assembly. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I nominate Bonnie Borda Heffiker to be Chief Clerk of the Assembly.
Assemblymember Gurr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second that nomination.
Assemblymember Gurr, would you like to also close the nominations?
Oh, yeah, yes. I move they be closed. I'm not reading, I'm just watching you.
We're all a little rusty, but we're back at it. So we have a motion from Assemblymember Torres Fawcett, and we have a motion from Assemblymember Gurr to close the nominations. You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. I declare Bonnie Borda Heffiker to be the Chief Clerk of the Assembly. Congratulations. And I will note that our now permanent Chief Clerk did an amazing job as the temporary Chief Clerk. And Chief Clerk, we are excited to have you here this session. Look forward to working together. Okay, I am now going to appoint a committee of 3 members consisting of Assemblymember Anderson, Considine, and Hardy to notify the Senate that the Assembly is organized and ready for business. I will now appoint a committee of 3 consisting of Assembly members De Silva, Brown May, and Hibbets to notify the governor that the Assembly is organized and ready for business. Now, while we're waiting for the committees to return, we are going to go to Order Business 15, remarks from the floor, to allow members to introduce their family members and guests, and we'll continue to do that as we wait for our committees to return. Sometimes they take a little while, but what I'm going to ask, and members, you'll recall, you can press your button that indicates you'd like to speak. But what I want to do first is any members that have young children with them who may not want to stay on the floor through the entirety of these introductions, if you could hit your speak buttons first, so we'll give you a chance to introduce your guests, and that way if you have folks who need to leave a little bit earlier, we can accommodate that. So I'm going to start with Assemblymember Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Honored to be here today. Congratulations on your reelection to Speaker. I'm curious why he picked me first. We have quite a crew here. A little something that the Speaker and I have in common, you have 42 in your house, And when the good senator in the other chamber, District 42, and I, when we have all of our 8 children, their spouses, and our 24 grandchildren, and the senator and myself, we have 42 in our house. So I'm glad to stand before you as the Speaker of my house. I never enter, this is my 4th term, and I must admit, I never enter the chambers or even the building without a sense of humility and awe that I and all of us can be part of this incredible process and represent one of the greatest states in the Union. Now I'm going to take a moment. Don't worry, that whole gallery up there is not mine because my children are here and there and everywhere and have busy lives. Fortunately, a few could be here today. So sitting with me, and we have numerous great artwork. We have an army tank. We have a rocket. So some of the artists are here with me today. Some of my grandsons, we have 15 grandsons and 9 granddaughters. We have, stand up, we have Vander, River, Wyatt and Oliver are twins, and Red and Forrest. And then in the back, we have some of my adult children. We have Mallory, Reed, and Thane. Stand up, Mallory and Thane, Reed, parents of 5 children. We have Daniel, who's the father of some of these hooligans, and my son Jacob Hansen, father of some of these other hooligans, and then Cody and Larissa Brown with number 24, Lainey Brown, who we waited 8 years to get a girl in the mix. So anyway, thank you for your indulgence, Speaker, and I apologize for how much time I took. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Hanson, I called on you first because I figured you'd introduce half the gallery, so we would have that. But just want to say welcome to your guests, and I'm amazed at how dapper everybody looks. Very good here on day 1 of the session. So welcome and thank you. Assemblymember Mosca, please.
Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, first I want to introduce Miriam, who's with me today. Miriam, I've known her since she was 12, and she is a UNLV first-generation college graduate. She also is currently a student at UNLV getting her master's in journalism, and she will serve as my attaché this session, so please come say hi. And this, since last session, this is new. I want to introduce you to Kayvon and Kenny. They enjoy Spider-Man, dinosaurs, and they are in the 1st grade and pre-kindergarten, and I want to thank my husband, thank you, Nicholas Smith, who will retire from the U.S. Air Force in 6 months after serving 20 years, and I appreciate him holding down at home this session. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you and welcome. Assemblymember LaRue Hatch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will have my guests stand, please. So I would like to introduce my husband, Stephen Hatch, my mother-in-law, Lori Hatch, and my wonderful daughter, Abby. She was 5 last time we were here. Now she's 7. I'm sure next session she will be taller than me, but we're getting there. And I am a teacher. I know how to keep it concise, and so I will just say, please welcome my guests. They are my rocks. They are what keep me running, just like everyone else in this building, and we're so happy to be here. Thank you.
Welcome to the Assembly. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to ask my guests to all just stand. So since last session, I had the pleasure of getting married in December to my wonderful husband, Richard Fawcett. So he's excited to join us for his first time here in the Carson City and in Legislature. This is my dad, Rigoberto Torres, who's joining us today, as well as my niece, Sophie, my niece, Abby, and one of my brother-in-laws, Dr. David Fawcett. I also have up here everybody. I married into a very large family, and they were very excited to support me as I came to Carson City. So with me is my other brother-in-law, Brian Fawcett, my brother-in-law, Marco Penalosa, my sister, Gabriela Torres, and my mom, Tilly Torres. So thank you so much for having us today.
Do we have a postscript?
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Yes.
I forgot another, my nephew is seated here, and my father was hiding him. But Corbin is here in his Spider-Man attire, also very in his Netflix.
Great. Thank you. Welcome, Corbin. We're going to go next to Assemblymember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you so much. I would love to introduce my family, if you guys can stand up, please. My mother, my husband, Francisco, and my grandmother, who we call Yai. With me, as many of you know, I became a new mom since we've been here last session, and so I'm very excited. She's asleep right now, but my daughter, Itzara, is here, along with my nephew, who is just 4 months behind her. So my sister and I had babies at the same time, so that's been great for our family. I'm truly honored to be here. Itzara, I love you so much. Hopefully one day when she sees this, we can laugh. But thank you for making me a mom. Thank you to my family and my husband who, without him, all of our spouses know, but becoming a new mom during this process has been such a whirlwind. And so I thank you so much for always holding it down. And for those of you who will see me around, I bring her everywhere. So hopefully you guys don't get tired of her. Thank you so much.
Assemblymember Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce my family, and also, first of all, I am so excited to be here. It's such an honor. I've known some of you for a very long time, but I'm really excited to be joined here by my son, Liam. Many of you have heard me speak about him. He does exist. He's here. He loves Spider-Man, and he hopes to grow up to be a famous soccer player someday. It's his first time in Carson City, and he doesn't want to go back to Las Vegas. So thank you so much for being so patient. As a single mom, it's hard to be away from my son, but I wouldn't be able to be here today if it weren't for my support system. My dad, Alfredo, my mom, Rosa, who is over there, my brother, Freddie. My parents have been so helpful throughout this whole process, helping me to make sure that my son is well taken care of and I can be here. But I also want to thank my tío Carlos, who's here from the Bay Area. He's an Army veteran who served in the Signal Corps. Also, I have family from Jalisco, Mexico, who joined us. My tío Chuy, my tía Lilia, and then I have my tío Rafa, my tío Chato, who also joined us from Las Vegas, my tía Marta, my cousin, who's here, and just really excited to be here. They're excited to be here as well. Thank you.
Assemblymember Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to introduce first my wife of almost 30 years, Katie Gray, coming up on 30 on April 1st. Another really good friend of mine, somebody I had the pleasure to serve with, Brigadier General retired Michael Pearl. And as many of you guys know, you guys have seen her. She was 6 last time she was here. Olivia Parker, and today is her 8th birthday, and she wanted to come back with me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, and happy birthday. Thank you for spending your day with us. We're not going to sing because we're not very good singers, but we wish you a very, very happy birthday. We'll go next to Assemblymember Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of business number 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you. So I am joined here today by my amazing and wonderful husband, Dennis Cole. And without his support, I would not be standing here, as so many of you understand that. Also, my business partner, David Brown, who was the first person that I asked, are you okay with me doing this insane thing? And he said yes, so here I am. And then I'm also joined by Commissioner Scott Keller from Lyon County. He is the chair of the commission. And then Tammy Hendricks was not able to join us, but she had planned to be here. She is also the Lyon County Commissioner, the Vice Chair. So thank you all, and I appreciate the time.
Assemblymember Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to introduce my family. My mother, a retired RN, Karen Liardi, and my sister, an assistant principal, Kelly Miller, both came up now for the 5th time to watch us do this, and so I appreciate all their support, and thank you for allowing me to introduce them.
Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to take a brief moment to introduce my guests. I have my friends, Paul Selberg and Katie Robbins here, and then I have my sister, Wendy Jackins, who I couldn't survive campaign without. She's also my meal planner when I'm campaigning to make sure I'm healthy, and my partner, Ethan Scarnott. So please make them feel welcomed. Thank you.
Assemblymember Urick.
There we go. First time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my great personal privilege today to introduce 2 people seated on the floor with me. The first is, you guys have heard me talk about her before, the most amazing, beautiful, loving, supportive wife in the entire world. Carrie is sitting here with me. You can stand up, say hi. And then I have, at the risk of offending everybody else in the building, the most amazing attaché, Cindy, sitting here with me today as well. So thank you, Cindy, for joining me. Mr. Speaker, I know that all of us had friends and family that were having trouble traveling and making it here, so I would like to acknowledge a couple of family members that aren't able to be here that are watching online to let them know how much I appreciate. First, my mom and my stepdad, Terry and Wayne, huge sources of support for me, as well as my dad and my stepmom, Ted and Kelly, and my 3 amazing boys, TJ, Tyler, and Trey. I love you. Thank you for letting me serve here.
Assemblymember Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's been said time and time again, none of us could do the work that we do without having our families and friends behind us. And I am blessed that I have an amazing man who puts up with my crazy schedule. And those of you who know me and know my life, it's pretty crazy and kind of busy. My husband, Gary, and my oldest daughter, who has not missed one of these, and this is our 5th one. That the very first one, she was actually pregnant with my first grandbaby. My daughter, Candace, her wife, Janez, and that baby that was born our very first session, Miss Avery, is here. But it takes a village, and that village involves my friend, Dana Lovell, Chris Miller, and of course, my team. You all know Natalia Jordan. I met her when she was in high school. Now she is my committee manager. And I have my intern that I got to meet this morning, and he came dressed appropriately in purple, because that was the color for this year. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. We couldn't do this work alone, and I am blessed to have this crew behind me.
Assemblymember Backus.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I'm just tight in my chair. Okay. I really appreciate your words. I know coming off a competitive campaign season coming into this beautiful building, we obviously can't do this without probably our biggest cheerleaders in our life. And I am so blessed to have probably my 3 biggest cheerleaders with me today. I'll start kind of out in the order, and they can stand up so they can be recognized. Number 1 sitting here today is my mom, who we have been through multiple campaign seasons. We just got done with a move on Saturday night. I'm so blessed. She's coming up to spend this session with me. As you guys know, everyone's been asking where Carson is. Carson now has a wonderful person to spend her time with. Next but not least was my legislative best friend. This is a hard session for me because one person's not going to be here. She was my roommate last year, but I'm just so happy that she wanted to come up here for opening day, and that's our former assembly member, Shannon Bilbray Axelrod. Last but not least, I can't look at my husband. I'll totally cry. For most of those people here, I probably don't cry and I'm not that sensitive, but my husband is probably my #1 cheerleader. This year we'll celebrate our 21st year of being married. And so can't do this without him, although he keeps joking he's gonna run against me next time. So it will be wonderful. I look forward to that. And I'm happy that you're here on this wonderful adventure with me again. Thanks.
And welcome back to the floor, Assemblymember Bilbray Axelrod. We're going to put a quick pin in Order of Business 15, but I want to ask anybody who does want to speak, hit your speak button, please, at your desk so you'll light up. There are only 42 of you, but sometimes it's hard to remember who's spoken, so if you could do that, but just for a brief second, we're going to go to our Sergeant at Arms because I think we have some of our committees back. Let's welcome the committee back in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go back to Order Business 15 to continue introducing guests. Next up on the list, I have Assemblymember Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you again for allowing me and my family to honor our native Vietnamese tradition by wearing our traditional ceremonial garment, which is called an áo dài, translating to the meaning of a long dress or a long shirt. As an immigrant that arrived in the U.S. at the age of 11, it is an honor of my life to serve in this role and re-elected to serve in the Assembly representing District 8. I want to introduce my family here today. There's actually a whole lot, so I want to ask my wife and children to stand in the back. My wife, Trang Lê, and then my son, Lee Sen Nguyen, and then my daughter, Tu An. One is 11 and the other one is 5, turning 30 and 40 for both of them. And right here in the back, please stand up, everybody here. I'm honored to introduce my father, Cơ Nguyen, my mother, Hoàng Vũ, my mother-in-law, Ying Vũ. And I do want to address my neighbors to the right here. My mother-in-law is one out of 20 siblings. So when we do family gathering, I think you and I can take over many, many restaurants. And, you know, talking about standing in line waiting for a food buffet in your own home, that's a surreal experience. And I want to introduce my father-in-law, Van Hai Lê, and then my brother, Alfredo Lopez, my sister, Tu Lê, and also part of my family is my attaché as well, Mateo Beers in the back, and two person that cannot make here tonight or today because of the lovely weather is one of my other biggest supporter, my boss and my mentor, Ms. Vita Lin, as well as Ms. Bonnie Chu. So if you guys are watching at home, thank goodness that you didn't have to deal with all that travel shenanigan because we have to deal with that coming back home. So thank you, Mrs. Speaker, and thank you for letting me and my family honor our tradition.
Assemblymember Koenig.
I'd like to introduce my wife, Tara, of almost 35 years, and I want to thank her so much for allowing me to come back and try again another session.
Assemblymember Orntlicher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Well, it's great to be back, and I have a great group of guests to introduce you all to. From Silver State, from Silver State Equality, Jessica Munger, who is the program manager, and Bree Schmidt, who's a program associate. From Silver State Voices, we have Ryan Vortish as the Northern Nevada Democracy Coordinator. Also, a very good friend from Minden, Patricia Melankoff, formerly Ackerman, who is a Nevadan committed to making sure we preserve our great state for future generations. And I'm also delighted that Laura Austin has agreed to join me for a second term as my attaché. So thank you.
Assemblymember O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before you recognize me, we're having a little technical problems. Would you recognize Assemblymember Dickman, please?
Indeed, I will. Assemblymember Dickman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Assemblyman. Order of Business 15?
Order of Business 15.
So I am here with my husband, Tom, who's very patient. This is his 5th time here, but the first time was 10 years ago, so we had a couple of breaks in between. And also my amazing attaché, Virginia Peterson. We just met a few months ago, but we so click. She's awesome, and I think you're all going to love her. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Assemblymember O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
First, I'd like to welcome everybody. You're my constituents now for at least the next 120 days. This is my district, and I welcome you all to Carson City. And as part of that, I'd like to introduce some very close friends of mine, a very, very close friend, my dearest wife of 28 years. Thank you, dearest. I knew it was something like that. Nancy, who has put up with me and would also welcome you all too. But as part of the welcoming, our family is spread out all over the world, from Greece to so many places. But so they couldn't be here. But I do have some very close friends. First, I'd like to introduce Ronnie Hanneman to you. She's the executive director of the Carson City Chamber of Commerce and can help you with any of your needs also. From church, we call her the crazy church lady, if I may say, is Beverly Wickel, who attends and is a world traveler. She's privileged to be here. And last but not least, Guy Farmer, who used to work with the Nevada Appeal and is now a senior statesman, you might say, with the Appeal, or senior media person. So thank you all. Would you please welcome? And I forgot one. The brains of the outfit coming up is Julie Butler, my attaché. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's go next. So many here. Let's go to Assemblymember Brown May, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce my rock, my support system. If you will rise, please, in the chamber. Many of you know my husband, Jeff May, my daughter, Randy May, and my wonderful new attaché, Josie Miller, who have also come alongside many of you in this chamber, most recently in what was a medical incident. While the governor accused me of stealing the State of the State speech a short time ago, all in good humor, we have become a very close family in just a very short time, so I'm looking forward to a wonderful session. As we welcome our guests today, I would like to offer a great and sincere thanks to all of you for that most recent incident. And my words of encouragement to you as we go through this session is please take time for you. Hydrate, eat, and don't forget your electrolytes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So that is the second time today you have been reminded to drink water. So please, drink a lot of water. Assembly Member Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I would like to introduce, please stand. This is Sydney. She is a graduate from UNR. She has her master's in public health. She is also my right-hand person for the session, AKA my attaché. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to be Mama Bear for a second. This is my son, Troy. He is, needless to say, my rock, the air that I breathe, my very tall cheerleader. I've been a single mom for a very long time, and we've had a very long road, but look at us today. So we are very much grateful for the state of Nevada. We were here 2 years ago where he was still in medical school at UNR. I am proud to say that he has a new title. His name is Dr. Troy Clemens. But I'm even happier to say that we got to keep him in our state, and he is one of our newest doctors in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. And before I sit, my mom and aunt was supposed to be here, but because the great weather in Reno and Carson, they could not be with us today, but I still want to say hello. Thank you.
Assemblymember Kasama.
Thank you, Speaker. I have the honor of introducing Jan and Craig Clark, who I had the privilege of 3 sessions ago. I was introduced to them when I was looking for a place to rent. And they own the first governor's mansion in the state of Nevada, the Sadler House. And I get to have the privilege of being in the house with them. But not only are they people that I get to share housing with now, but I lovingly call them my Carson parents because we've become family now. They are just the God's salt of the earth, and they are just incredible people and have welcomed me into their home. And I truly love both you guys so much. And I would love to introduce my daughter, Serena. Can you stand too? Yeah. So Serena Kasama, who is such an integral part of who I am, and love you so much. You've been such a support to your mom, and certainly was one of the first people to encourage me to run for office. Don't know if she regrets it now, but we're in this world together now, and so great to have you here with me. And Frankie Talbot, wow, how wonderful. I feel really privileged. Go ahead and stand up. He's my new attaché. So glad to have him with us. He comes from the Gwynn Center with just a wealth of information, knowledge, and he wanted to kind of explore the governmental world as well. So we'll see if we chase you away from it or if you proceed further in it. And of course, to my husband, Peter, who could not be here. Thank you.
Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm going to be quick because I don't have my little rugrats with me today, but I'd like to introduce Philip C. Peckman, if you'd like to stand up. He flew and made it this morning, so thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. And then also my husband, Paul Gallant. You got to know him last year, so thank you for continuing to make the drive with us, right? And packing up the car and being supportive and taking care of our boys while I'm up here. Thank you. I just wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you both for being here.
Okay, we have a committee back, so we will hear from our Sergeant at Arms.
Mr. Speaker, your committee to notify the Senate that the Assembly is organized and ready for business at the bar of the Assembly.
Thank you. Do you have a message to deliver? Thank you so much. Okay, I think we have both of our committees back, so that is good. We're going to stay in order of business 15 to continue introductions. And if any of you are having technical difficulties, at some point I'll just ask folks to raise their hand if you haven't yet been called on and your button is not working. I did want to take a moment just before we moved on to remember to introduce my guests who are sitting at my desk. So if the four of you could stand up, please. I think you all know my wife, Beta Yeager, who is a 8th Judicial District Court judge down in Las Vegas and braved a very long drive as we were part of the suite of canceled flights yesterday as well. And then to her right is my Chief of Staff, Sarah Colleram, who I'm delighted to have back with me again this session. And then we have two amazing attorneys here in town. We have McCall and Madison Johnson. And here's the really cool thing about them. They both actually interned in this building in the 2019 session. So Madison was an intern for then Majority Leader Benitez Thompson, and McCall was an intern for Senator Spearman. So they are back in the building, and I know I told you I wanted to just say hello to my mother, who probably is still watching this live feed now. And she wanted to be here, but travel challenges were all around. And so if you could just help me welcome the guests who were gracious enough to join me this morning, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, moving along. Assembly Member Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, in the spirit of diversity of our great state of Nevada, I have with me an Arizona import that discovered Nevada a couple of years ago and is now becoming a true Nevadan. And that's my dear, dear friend, Liz Luna. And a young lady who grew up in my neighborhood, grew up in the area where I grew up, and went to school at a school where my son teaches at, and is now a freshman at UNLV, embracing the idea of being a Nevadan, and that is Nancy Muniz. And I do have to take a shout out because, yes, I had two more people that were supposed to be here that, again, represent truly what Nevada is all about. And that's about diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is Jocelyn Cuervos and Maria Nieto Orta, two young women who grew up on the east side of Las Vegas that are DACA, that still give passionately back to not only our state but our country in political activism and representing Nevada in the best light manner. Thank you very much.
Assemblymember Goulding.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
I am delighted to introduce my guest today. My husband, Dr. Jack Hayes, has served Nevada for over 30 years as a faculty member of the University of Nevada, Reno, both as a professor and as an administrator, and has done much good work for many in the state. So thank you so much, Jack, and for all your support personally. And for the rest of our family members who weren't able to be here with us today, my children Alex and Anna, and my stepson Josh, and all of my family, my mother and father and siblings, so thank you to them for their support. Also with me today is Grace Nichols. Grace was instrumental in establishing the Battle-Born Youth Challenge Academy in a bill that we worked together on in 2019. So I'm so very proud to have Grace with me today. She kind of started me on this journey. And also I'm very happy to introduce Adam Tchaikovsky, who is my attaché, but so much more than that because always provide such excellent advice on how best to serve the constituents of Assembly District 27 and the people of Nevada. So thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce them.
We're going to go quickly again to our Sergeant at Arms because we have another committee coming to visit us. Please welcome them into the Assembly chamber. Welcome to the Assembly Chamber, and I see we have 3 former Assembly members with us, so welcome, and we're delighted to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate is organized and ready for business.
Thank you so much, Senators, and we look forward to working with you and having a very productive session. All right, back to order of business 15. Assemblymember Gurr.
I'll get this button right pretty soon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of business 15.
Order of business 15.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce 2 of my special friends from Elko, Paula Wilbur and her husband, Paul Nolan. They drove here yesterday in that wonderful storm to come down and be with us. I appreciate it. Thank you. And to the person who calls herself my biggest supporter, I would like you guys to ask her in private what she means by that, because this is the second session she's mentored me through. Sorry about the voice. It's 77 years old. It's having a little trouble today. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hopefully I'll punch the right button next time.
Assemblymember Karras.
There it is. Good afternoon, Speaker. I first want to say congratulations on being our Speaker once again. I'm so amazed that I'm here. This is another change in my life, and it's amazing to me. My mother, who is watching from way above, has got to be wondering what the heck her girl's doing now. But let's move on to my guests. Today, I have the one who made me a mother, my daughter Lauren, and my grandson, this one, who made me a Grammy, and my other grandson, Logan, who is the most unbelievable chess player who loves the knights the most of all.
I broke her brain when I got 3 of them.
Anyway, thank you all so much, and I am just so proud to be part of this. Thank you.
Assemblymember Flanagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here. I'd like to introduce my family and friends who are here to support me. To my far right is my middle niece, my niece daughter, Tasia. And I have in the middle my dad. It's a blessing to be able to have him here with me, Tommy Flanagan, 86 years old. Lost my mother when I was 29, so it's been quite a journey for my dad and I. Many of you have heard the stories of the breast cancer survivors, so this is always my hero, my champion. If I cough the wrong way, my daddy comes across the desert from Arizona to take care of his daughter. This is my best friend of 41 years. I was sitting here doing the math, realizing we've been friends for 41 years. Tamiko Rock Gardner. Thank you for being here with me. In the gallery, I have some more friends that they should stand up and be seen. I guess there will. My play niece, Brianna Harris, they're filming with her phone. My good friend, Eric James, who 20 years of friendship, has been with me since the original run for office where I ended in a tie. And they bought a dealer out, and he rolled out the green felt carpet and all the cards, and I pulled a card, and he watched me do that. So thank you for being here with me today to finally get to this segment of the journey. And my dear friend Eric Cole, who all of them, without them, I would not have gotten through this election. We've all talked about this, but everything I needed. I have a 2-year-old Labrador Retriever named Nico, and he is the best dog in the world, but he is demanding. And I would not have gotten through this without Eric running to Smarty Paws to take him to daycare, to pick him up from daycare, to feed him, to walk him. Because the days are long, the nights are exhausting, and Nico is like, but Mom, I don't understand why we can't play. So Eric has just been a godsend to help me get through that. And that is my beautiful attaché, Alexis Jenkins. So you will all get to know her. And I just want to say it is an honor and a pleasure to be here. I look forward to working with everyone, and thank you.
Assemblymember Hardy.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is an honor to be back here again, serving for my 4th time in the legislature. And I just wanted to take a minute to introduce my family that is here with me today. First, my wonderful husband, Damon. He's just, I don't know how else to describe him, but just like the happiest, friendliest, most supportive guy in the world. And he never complains. He supports me in the campaign and being up here for 120 days and takes care of everything at home with a smile on his face and just always, what do you need? What can I do to help you? So thank you. And this is my daughter, Kelsey. A lot of you know her. She's been in this legislature for, my goodness, 12 years. She's an attorney now, an official lobbyist, and I'm so grateful for you. She started me on this journey in 2018, and she's been my rock and who I turn to for support and advice in so many ways. And she's also my roommate, so that's great. And this is Paul Anderson. Many of you also know. He is Kelsey's fiance and soon-to-be son-in-law of ours. Yes, there will be a wedding this year, so I'm very excited. And Paul's also been a great confidant of mine and even given me a lot of encouragement and advice and direction along the way, and so thank you very much. And I just wanted to acknowledge my family that couldn't be here, who I know they are watching. My mom watches almost every single day of session and has for the last 4 sessions. It was her birthday yesterday, so I just want to wish her happy birthday. And the joy of our family, my 2 little grandsons, Benjamin and Oliver. Benji was born in 2022, so he's now 2, and little Oliver's 9 months old. So come by the office. I have a lot of pictures you can see, and maybe we'll get him up here, so you can meet him. But thank you again. It's an honor to be here and serve with all of you.
Well, happy birthday to Mom, and welcome back to the Assembly floor. Majority Leader Anderson, it's good to have you back. We have a few more folks we're working through. I promise I will get to all of you. Let's go next to Assemblywoman Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order of Business 15.
Thank you. It is an incredible honor to be back here for a 3rd time, and I would like my guests who are here with me to please stand up so I can introduce each of them. This is Maria Teresa Hank. She is a UNLV grad. Go Rebels. She is also TWU Local 556, the Union of Southwest Flight Attendants. So, thank you for being here, and I could not have survived the last couple of sessions without Chris Molnar. A lot of you in the office know who she is. She's my attaché. She has taken this journey with me, and she's willing to do it a 3rd time, so thank you for being here. And my husband, Ken Merrill, thank you for doing this long journey with me. He is my rock, and I'm so glad that he came up here today again this year. And lastly, I would ask everyone to welcome my daughter who is online watching. I love you, Sunshine. Thank you, and let's get this going.
Assemblymember Hibbets.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In order to keep things brief, I will utter the greatest word in the Nevada State Assembly, ditto. And now I would like to introduce my wife and greatest constituent, Tracy Hibbets. Please stand. I would ask that all of you help me welcome her to the People's House, where we get to make decisions for not just our family, but everybody's family. Thank you.
Assemblymember Dahlia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order Business 15.
I have just one guest here today, my wife, Marina. She and I have been together for 14 years, and we have 3 beautiful daughters together that we were not brave enough to bring here today. She is the love of my life and the engine that keeps our family running, so I'm so honored to share this moment with her. Thank you.
Assemblymember De Silva.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order of Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce a few guests that I have here today. I'd like to start with, actually, would you mind please standing up here? You know, many of you know this individual here as Councilman Isaac Barone, or Trustee Isaac Barone.
Crusty.
Crusty, yeah, Crusty Trusty. But before all of that, this was my coach. I still call him my coach. He was my soccer coach at Rancho High School, my teacher at Rancho, and also my colleague for the last 12 years, until his retirement last year. So thank you for being here, Coach. This individual y'all know as my attaché, but there's a deeper connection. He's also a brother of mine, a brother of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, which means a great deal to me, has been a game-changing organization in my own life. And thank you for being here, Mr. Courtney Wagner. And then we have here another individual who y'all know as the councilman of Sparks, Nevada, the assistant fire chief for the state fire marshal, but also a brother of mine as a veteran who's very involved in veterans issues in the state. We have Mr. Joe Rodriguez, and then we have the boss lady right there. This is my mom, Mrs. Cruzina De Silva. She is a 25-year educator, first with EOB Head Start, and then retired from the school district from Marion Kalin Elementary School in North Las Vegas. So thank you all for being here today. I look forward to serving with you all, and let's get it going. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Assemblymember Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I want to thank everyone. You know, it's been a pleasure. This has been an amazing journey. I'm really having a great time. I mean, this is awesome. And I want my cheerleaders right here, my biggest supporters, my game changers. Raise up, y'all. Come on, come on. This is my handsome son, Kevin Crockram, my amazing daughter-in-law, Nicole Crockram, my amazing granddaughter, Keandra Crockram, and my little big guy, my amazing grandson, Kevin Crockram Jr. And I have a host of friends and family that's in the gallery. I have my sister right here, Sarah Bolden, and my brother-in-law. He's our Navy guy. He's did 20-some years in the Navy. And then I have a host of friends and family in the audience. You guys want to stand? All right, yes. And I thank you. Everybody has been such a great help and a great support. And again, congratulations, Speaker, and Ms. Bonnie, congratulations to all you guys, okay? And thank you. I appreciate you.
Assemblymember Nadeem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to thank you for your support and your trust in me. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity and thank my husband, Nadeem Tariq, for his unconditional support and for being my rock. Thank you so much, Nadeem. Thank you. My beautiful kids, Sahar, Ahmad, and Noor, for being always there for me. My daughter, Sahar Nadeem, she is a physician herself. She is doing her residency from Mountain View Hospital. Thank you, Sahar, for always being there for me, beside the fact that you are so busy. My son, Ahmad Nadeem, he's a second-year medical school student, and he made sure that if I need any help, he's always there. Thank you so much. And my daughter, Noor Nadeem, she is in college and she's in pre-med. She's studying hard, but she always made sure, she always never failed to ask me if I need any assistance. Thank you so much. Every act of kindness never went unnoticed, I want to tell you, and it stays in my heart. Thank you so much. And my two little lovely kids, Muhammad and Dua. They have been with me throughout my journey, throughout my campaigning, knocking on the doors, asking me if I need something, and I would love to call them my little campaign managers. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you for being my love, my rock, and my joy. Thank you. And I would like to take this opportunity. Thank you, my dear friend, Naira, Dr. Rahman, for being always with me throughout my journey. They have been with me for years and years supporting my work. Thank you so much. I'm blessed to have a friend like you, Naira. And Dr. Ori Nagi, it's an honor to have Dr. Ori Nagi today with us. His parents, Dr. Nafis Nagi and Dr. Shamim Nagi, they have been the community leaders, and without their support and their genuine trust in me, I won't have been here. I would like to thank Rehan Pervez, as he's my friend's son, and he's here with his passion, is his dedication. He wants to get involved. Thank you, Rehan. I appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you for being here, for supporting me, and my wonderful, wonderful attaché, Travis. Thank you, Travis, for all your hard work and your dedication. Thank you. Thank you, you all. Thank you.
Assemblymember Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's truly an honor to serve in this body with you and with my fellow legislators. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce just basically the people that have always supported me. First, my mother, Clyda Anderson, who tells me when I'm being an idiot, so she's incredibly important to me in many ways. My sister, Karen Lindloff, that if my mother doesn't tell me that, my sister will. And my nephews, Teague and Connor Lindloff. And then finally, my cousins, who are basically like siblings to me, Ed Anderson, Kelly, and Rick Gardner. Please make them feel welcome. Thank you, sir.
Assemblymember Roth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome to the floor my sister, Dr. Cassia Roth. You can stand up, I know. She's a professor of history and public health at the University of California, Riverside, and I would truly not be who I am today without her. Thank you so much. And my lovely mom, please stand up, who helps me get through session. Many of you know that I move into my childhood bedroom here in Carson City during session, so everyone can give her an extra special round of applause for having to deal with me for the next 119 days.
Assemblymember Jackson.
Thank you, Speaker. As we spoke, the diversity of Nevada is what makes us great. If it wasn't for the diversity of Nevada, I wouldn't be here. I have my father, John, who family traveled from rural Louisiana to Las Vegas, and my mother, Ann, who both parents are Italian immigrants. They met in Las Vegas and eventually had me. I got my kiddos in the back. Please stand up. I have Samaila, Sarabi, Josiah, and then my nephew. Come on, nephew. I'm Jovan. This is Giovanni. And then the mother of my kids, Stephanie. Thank you for having us.
Okay, we have gone through the list of anyone requesting to speak. Is there anybody else who would like to introduce guests before we take a brief recess? And you can use your hand if you want as well, if the technology is not working. So, okay, I think we covered everyone. I want to say thank you all for coming, and for those watching online who were not able to get here because yesterday was indeed a very challenging travel day. We wish you were here with us. We miss you, and we thank you for your support and for tuning in to watch what was going on. So here's what we're going to do, members. We have some business we have to take care of, but we're not going to make our guests needlessly suffer through that business unless they want to. So we're going to take a 5-minute recess, which is going to be more than 5 minutes because that's just how it works. But we're going to take a recess and allow our guests the chance to leave, and then we will reconvene to conduct some business. So for members, do not leave the building. This is not your chance to go across the street to the Fox. We have things to do. So until then, safe travels to all of you that are traveling somewhere today, and the assembly will be in a brief recess. The assembly will come back to order. Each of you should have on your desk a list of standing committees along with the members I'm appointing to each committee. The first named member is the chair, and the second named member is the vice chair. The journal clerk will include the list of committees and members in today's journal. At this point, we're going to go to Order of Business 7, Messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, February 3rd, 2025. To the Honorable the Assembly, I have the honor to inform your honorable body that the Senate on this day passed Senate Bill 1, Sherry L. Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
We'll go to Order of Business 9, Introduction, First Reading, and Reference of Bills.
Senate Bill 1, introduced by Senator Canizaro and Titus, makes an appropriation to the legislative fund for the cost of the 83rd legislative session.
Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May we go to Order of Business 8?
Order of Business 8, Motions, Resolutions, and Notices. Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that all rules be suspended. Reading so far had considered first reading. Rules further be suspended. Bill considered engrossed, declared an emergency measure under the Constitution, and placed on third reading and final passage.
Assemblymember Howdigi has moved that all rules be suspended. Reading so far had considered first reading. Rules further suspended. The bill considered engrossed, declared an emergency measure under the Constitution, and placed on third reading and final passage. Remarks? Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the bill that funds the legislative session.
Are there any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The motion carries. We will now go to Order of Business 12, General File and Third Reading.
Senate Bill Number 1, introduced by Senators Canizaro and Titus, makes an appropriation to the legislative fund for the costs of the 83rd legislative session. The people of the state of Nevada, represented in Senate and Assembly, do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 or the bill as a whole?
There are none.
Are there any remarks? Okay, seeing none, the chief clerk will open the roll. Would anyone like to change their vote? The chief clerk will record the vote. There are 42 ayes, 0 nays. The bill having received a constitutional majority, I declare it passed. The bill is ordered immediately transmitted to the Senate. We are going to skip over to Order of Business 8.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 1, introduced by the Assembly Committee on Elections, Legislative Operations and Elections, adopts the joint standing rules of the Senate and Assembly for the 83rd session of the legislature. This resolution resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption, except for any persons who were issued press identification badges for the 83rd session before February 3rd, 2025, and whose names are read and entered into the journals of the Senate and Assembly as accredited press representatives on that date shall be deemed to be accredited members of a bona fide news medium for the purposes of Joint Standing Rule Number 25. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 1.
Assemblymember Howdigi has moved for the adoption of Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 1. Remarks, Assemblymember Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 1 largely adopts the joint standing rules in the same form as last session, with the following changes. First, the joint standing rules are amended throughout to use the term assembly member rather than assemblyman or assemblywoman for members of the assembly. Second,
Rule 4 is amended to eliminate the requirement that the presiding officer of each house announce in open session their intention to sign enrolled bills and joint resolutions before signing such bills and resolutions. Third, a new Rule 25 is added to clarify the press accreditation process for the legislature and ensure the process is consistent with current case law. Finally, Rule 39 is amended to authorize the Speaker and the Majority Leader to require legislators to attend training relating to the Legislative Code of Ethical Standards. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Are there any further remarks? Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Speaker. Point of order, or no, excuse me.
Order business 15?
Order business 15, thank you.
Order business 15.
I just would like to address the legislature our concerns about being called assembly member. We have fought very hard for the title of assemblywoman back in the 90s, as well as being almost celebrated for having the first female legislator, majority legislature, and we still continue to. So I will be voting no on these resolutions for that reason.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Are there any further remarks on Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 1? Okay, seeing no further remarks, all those in favor of adopting Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 1, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Nay. Motion carries. The resolution is adopted and ordered immediately transmitted to the Senate.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 2, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, authorizes additional reimbursement for travel in certain circumstances. Resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdegui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 2.
Assemblymember Howdegui has moved for the adoption of Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 2. Remarks? Assemblymember Howdegui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This resolution authorizes legislators who live 50 miles or more between their residence and Carson City to apply for additional reimbursement to offset higher costs of travel.
Are there any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. The resolution is adopted and ordered immediately transmitted to the Senate. We will now go to we're going to stay under order of business 8 to address Assembly Resolution number 1.
Assembly Resolution number 1, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, adopts the standing rules of the Assembly for the 83rd session of the Legislature. Resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdegui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Assembly Resolution number 1.
Assemblymember Howdegui has moved for the adoption of Assembly Resolution number 1. Remarks? Assemblymember Howdegui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Resolution number 1 largely adopts the Assembly Standing Rules in the same form as last session with the following changes. First, the Assembly Standing Rules are amended throughout to use the term Assembly Member rather than Assemblyman or Assemblywoman for members of the Assembly. Second, Rule 51 is amended to allow for committee minutes to become final without the chair's signature after 60 days. Third, Rule 54 is amended to clarify that testimony in support of an amendment to a bill that has not been approved by the bill's sponsor is considered opposition testimony. Fourth, Rule 67, which allowed for a now obsolete process for dividing a bill into multiple bills, has been removed. Finally, Rule 116 is amended to eliminate the requirement for a veto message and the text of a veto bill to be read aloud. Instead, the summary of the vetoed bill will be read, and the full text of the veto message and vetoed bill will be entered into the journal.
Are there any further remarks? Okay, all those in favor, seeing no further remarks, all those in favor of adopting Assembly Resolution number 1, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. The resolution is adopted and ordered to enrollment.
Assembly Resolution number 2, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, provides for the appointment of Assembly attachés. Resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdigee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Assembly Resolution Number 2.
Assemblymember Howdigee has moved for the adoption of Assembly Resolution Number 2. Remarks? Assemblymember Howdigee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Resolution Number 2 provides for the appointment of Assembly attachés for the 83rd session.
Are there any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting Assembly Resolution Number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. The resolution is adopted and ordered to enrollment.
Assembly Resolution Number 3, introduced by the Legislative Committee on Operations and Elections, provides allowances to the members of the Assembly for periodicals, stamps, stationery, and communications. Resolved, this resolution becomes effective upon adoption. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdigee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Assembly Resolution Number 3.
Assemblymember Howdigee has moved for the adoption of Assembly Resolution Number 3. Remarks? Assemblymember Howdigee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Resolution Number 3 provides allowances to members of the Assembly and leadership for periodicals, stamps, stationery, and communications for the 83rd session.
Are there any further remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting Assembly Resolution Number 3, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. The resolution is adopted and ordered to enrollment. We'll now go to Order of Business 6, Communications.
Office of the Governor, February 3rd, 2025. To the Honorable Nicole Canizaro, Majority Leader, Nevada State Senate, 401 South Carson Street, Carson City, Nevada, 89701. To the Honorable Steve Yeager, Speaker, Nevada State Assembly, 401 South Carson Street, Carson City, Nevada, 89701. Dear Majority Leader Canizaro and Speaker Yeager, please find and close the text of my State of the State address to the 83rd session of the Nevada Legislature. I was honored to join you both alongside your fellow legislators, Supreme Court justices, constitutional officers, and honored guests for this important evening for all Nevadans. I was proud to outline my plans to move Nevada forward and deliver on our commitment to support, create opportunities for, and relieve the burden on working families across our great state. Nevada is entering a crucial phase, confronting challenges that demand serious, comprehensive, and forward-thinking solutions, from housing affordability to health care access to educational outcomes, public safety, and economic policy. To address these critical needs, I'm introducing 5 priority pieces of legislation that reflect my administration's vision for Nevada's future. Each of these proposals represent a comprehensive and strategic approach to addressing the challenges we face and are designed to deliver tangible results, improve government efficiency, and provide financial relief for taxpayers. As I said in my State of the State address, I remain committed to working with you, and I know we all feel a profound and abiding sense of duty and honor to the people we serve. I appreciate your thoughtful consideration and deliberation over the next coming months. My staff and I stand ready to work with you this session to find solutions and improve the quality of life for all Nevadans. Sincerely, Joe Lombardo, Governor.
Assemblymember Howdigee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May we go to Order of Business 8, please?
Order of Business 8, Motions, Resolutions, and Notices. Assemblymember Howdigee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Governor's State of the State address be entered into this day's journal.
Without objection, it will be entered in today's journal. We'll go back to Order of Business 6, Communications.
Memo from Francisco V. Aguilar, Nevada Secretary of State, to the Assembly Chief Clerk, Bonnie Bordehofaker, from Rob Nichols, dated January 30th, 2025, subject S-202024, Initiative Transfer Letter. Dear Ms. Bordehofaker, pursuant to the Nevada Constitution, Article 9, Section 2, the Secretary of State's office is required to transmit to the Nevada Legislature any initiative petitions proposing a statewide measure which is filed with this state and deemed sufficient as soon as the Nevada Legislature convenes and is organized. In compliance with the Nevada Constitution, enclosed, please find the petition S-20-2024. If there should be any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the Elections Divisions at 775-687-6883. Respectfully, Francisco V. Aguilar, Secretary of State. Memo from Francisco V. Aguilar, Nevada Secretary of State, to Assembly Chief Clerk Bonnie Bordehofaker, from Rob Nichols, dated January 30th, 2025, Subject, Assembly Joint Resolutions Return Transfer Letter. Dear Ms. Borda Hoffaker, this letter is an acknowledgement of the 2 transfers of Assembly Joint Resolutions that have been returned from the 82nd session, Assembly Joint Resolutions 5 and 6. These resolutions have been transferred from the Secretary of State's office to your office pursuant to NRS 218D-800. Should there be any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the Elections Divisions at 775-687-8683. Respectfully, Francisco V. Aguilar, Secretary of State. Memo from Francisco V. Aguilar, Nevada Secretary of State, to Assembly Chief Clerk Bonnie Borda Hoffaker from Rob Nichols, dated January 30th, 2025. Subject, Assembly vetoed bills of the 82nd session transfer letter. Dear Ms. Borda Hoffaker, this letter is an acknowledgement of the transfer of Assembly bills of the 82nd session. Assembly Bills 74, 160, 172, 201, 218, 224, 242, 243, 246, 258, 281, 305, 319, 322, 334, 340, 371, 383, 437, 439, 498, and 527. These bills have been transferred from the Secretary of State's office to your office pursuant to Nevada Constitution, Article 4, Section 35. Should there be any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the Elections Division at 775-687-8683. Respectfully, Francisco V. Aguilar, Secretary of State.
One-minute recess, Mr. Speaker.
We'll be in a 1-minute recess. We're going to go to order of business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Assembly Joint Resolution Number 5 of the 82nd session, introduced by Assembly Members Miller and Monroe Moreno. Proposes to amend the Nevada Constitution to revise provisions relating to lotteries and the sale of lottery tickets. Resolved, this resolution becomes effective upon passage. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdiggy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Joint Resolution Number 5 of the 82nd session be referred to your Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections.
If there are no objections, Assembly Joint Resolution Number 5 of the 82nd session is referred to the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections.
Assembly Joint Resolution Number 6 of the 82nd session, introduced by Assemblymember Watts et al. And Senators Harris et al. Proposes to amend the Nevada Constitution to adopt the National Popular Vote Compact. Resolved that this resolution becomes effective upon passage. End of resolution.
Assemblymember Howdiggy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Joint Resolution Number 6 of the 82nd session be referred to your Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections.
If there are no objections, Assembly Joint Resolution Number 6 of the 82nd session is referred to the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Assemblymember Howdigy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that consideration of vetoed Assembly Bill numbers 74, 160, 172, 201, 218, 224, 242, 243, 246, 258, 281, 305, 319, 322, 334, 340, 371, 383, 437, 439, 498, and 527 of the 82nd session be made a special order of business for Thursday, February 6, 2025 at 12 p.m.
Thank you, Assemblymember, and I will note for the members, the board says Tuesday is February 4th, but the motion was indeed to move them as a special order of business for Thursday, February 6th. Just so everyone's clear on the motion, so that is the motion. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Assemblymember Howdigy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the persons listed on the Nevada Legislature's press accreditation list of February 3rd, 2025 be accepted as accredited press representative, be assigned space at the press table in the Assembly chamber, allowed the use of appropriate broadcasting facilities, and that the list be included in this day's journal.
You've all heard the motion. Are there any additional remarks on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Assemblymember Howdigy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that my remarks, your remarks, and the remarks of my colleague from Assembly District 36 be entered into today's journal.
Without objection, so referred. Members, that has taken us through our official business for today. We will have additional business tomorrow, namely reading all the pre-filed bills that will be referred to committee. We're not going to do that today because you all have family here, some of whom are probably going to be stuck here for a little longer than anticipated, so you may need to host them. But I wanted us to go to order of business 15, remarks from the floor. We have all had a chance to introduce guests, many of whom I think for their own sanity have left the floor. But if there's any additional order of business 15 or any remarks that anyone would like to make before we adjourn for the day, if you could hit your speak button, and I will gladly call on you. Seeing none, I'll take just a personal point of privilege to say that it takes a lot of work to get ready for day one, and as many of you have noticed, coming into the building, there have been a lot of changes in the building, and we have quite a bit of new staff members. And so I just wanted to take a moment to thank our incredible staff for getting us ready for today, and not just the front desk staff, but everyone behind the scenes, your attachés that have been working here for a while at this point, all the way down to our facilities, construction, IT, research. I shouldn't name them all because I'll forget some, but this is a true team effort to get us through the first day of session, and I wanted to express, as an assembly, our appreciation for everything that everyone has done to get us to this moment. So if you could join me in giving all of them a round of applause. Seeing no other order of business 15, Assemblymember Howdigy, it's time to make everyone's favorite motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Seeing no other business in front of this assembly, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, at the hour of 11:30 a.m.
Assemblymember Howdigy has moved that the assembly stand adjourned until Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, at the hour of 11:30 a.m. You have heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Be safe out there, everyone.